Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I am your host, and welcome to this post-Thanksgiving first video. It's been a while since my last video, and I apologize for the delay. I thought over my Thanksgiving break, I took most of last week off. I thought I could, I'm just going to, I had grand plans for many videos being filmed. But had some health issues come up, which always puts a damper on things. So I'm going to the doctor on Wednesday, early in the morning. But suffice it to say, my energy level is close to zero. But it's making me anxious not having a new video up, and I'm doing everything I can right now to limit my anxiety because it exacerbates my condition. Just an autoimmune thing that I have and will always have, and I just have to kind of keep on top of it. But anyway, I didn't get videos made. I just was resting, and the most energy I had for was reading, and that was still limited. So that kind of sucked. I really wanted to plow through some things. But anyway, being it, Cyber Monday, I thought I'd just share with you some updates. I do have books for this video. Of course I do. I guess we'll call it a book haul of sorts. I've done a lot of, not a lot, well, I have indulged in some Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. And so when those books arrive, I will do a proper, Black Friday, Cyber Monday book haul. But on Cyber Monday, I'll show you some of the books that I have purchased recently, just for my own edification, interest, whatnot, that I've gotten over the last, I'd say maybe few weeks. I've been putting them in a little stack to show you. I'll start off with nonfiction, and then I'll end up with the fiction items that I picked up. So I guess I'm not forgetting anything. Oh! And the other thing is Michigan undefeated, beat Ohio State. What a drubbing. And that made Peg happy. Having to watch the Lions lose again by a field goal on Thanksgiving Day was just, I was like, oh, I can't take two losses in a row. And thankfully my Wolverines just made a statement. They made a statement, and now on to the Big Ten championship. Because we were Big Ten champions last year. Beat Purdue. We got this. So thought I'd wear my Michigan gear and represent. And so let's get into it. I still have a backlog of videos I need to make. There's so many cool things happening in BookTube. So many things I want to talk about. People who have inspired me on BookTube and books I picked up because of them. And maybe that'll come out in some of my talks. But let's see. Let's kick on into some books I picked up. Every now and then on Amazon, I notice the book section. Oh, and I have a big announcement to make, but I guess I'll save it for another video. We'll have a special guest star. That's right, I'm teasing you. That's correct. So if you're ever shopping for books on Amazon and you scroll down below the price, sometimes you're going to see a little green sticker, and it'll say, buy three for the price of two. Well, I have, indulged myself a couple times when I've seen that deal, because that's the best time for me to pick up some of the things in my cart. I try to buy things that are similarly priced so that the free one is, relatively up there. Anyway, so I indulged myself. What was the third one that I got? It should be here. It's in here. Anyway, let's start off with a classic that I've been meaning to get for a very long time. I know where it is, but it's downstairs, so I'm going to have to pause the video at some point to go get it. So, the book that I wanted to get for a very long time is by a writer from the 19th century, and about an event in history I've always been fascinated by, and that's the French Revolution. So I finally picked up, sorry for the glare, dang light, but I need it to back, light up my very, very exhausted face. The French Revolution, A History by Thomas Carlyle. and with an introduction by John Rosenberg. But this is the Modern Library Classics Collection. Now, I almost sent it back because of this, okay? Another book in that shipment that I had ordered 3 for 2 was a very big, beefy chunkster of a book. And when I opened up the cover, the binding, the pages were kind of not completely glued in. So I was like, I'm sending it back, send me a replacement. So I did. They sent me a replacement. Same thing. So I was just like, well, that must be the way the first printing went. So I'm just keeping the second one. But I almost sent back this one, but I was like, you know what, Peg, who cares? It's not a big deal. And I have the book, and I'm looking forward to it. So this is the book that established Thomas Carlyle's reputation when first published in 1837. This spectacular historical masterpiece has since been accepted as the standard work on the subject. It combines a shrewd insight into character, a vivid realization of the picturesque, and a singular ability to bring the past to blazing life, making it a reading experience as thrilling as any novel. As John D. Rosenberg observes in his introduction, the French Revolution is, quote, one of the grand poems of Carlyle's century, yet its poetry consists in being everywhere scrupulously rooted in historical fact, end quote. This Modern Library Paperback Classics edition, complete and unabridged, is unavailable anywhere else. So that's why I was like, this is the time to strike. I'm going to get, there we go. Isn't it a beautiful cover? But it's a big book. I mean, as it should be. Almost 800 pages, and that just all the way up into the index. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. I was very excited. Okay, so all right, we're going to move on. Okay, so the next book, wow, what a step down topic-wise. But I have followed this journalist for a while, and I've always thought she was a very rigorous journalist and very serious-minded. And if I'm going to read one book about this person, I want it to be by her, because I think I really like her, just her intellectual chops, as it were. I think she is she works for, I've seen her on CNN a lot, but New York Times. She's the New York Times. But it's by Maggie Haberman. And this is the brand new book called Confidence Men, The Making of Donald Trump and the Breaking of America. So I put that down by Penguin Press. And this is the book Trump fears most by Axios. Well, we'll see. Well, now that it seems like he's completely irrelevant, I love the headline that one of the New York Post did or something, where after he announced that he's running for president, there was just a banner, not even a banner, just a little block of text at the bottom that says, Florida man makes announcement. It's very funny. Okay, so let me just read you a little bit about this. I'm not going to read the entire blurb, because I'm not here to have, people, bombarding me with hateful comments if they're Trump supporters. I don't care. I'm not going to get into it with you, so don't waste your time. Few journalists working today have covered Donald Trump more extensively than Maggie Haberman, and few understand him and his motivations better. Now demonstrating her majestic command of the story, Haberman reveals the full depth of her understanding of the 45th president and of what the Trump phenomenon means. Interviews with hundreds of sources, including many with Trump himself over the years, portray a complicated and often contradictory historical figure, capable of kindness but relying on casual cruelty as it suits his purposes, pugnacious, insecure, lonely, vindictive, menacing, smarter than his critics contend, and colder and more calculating than his allies believe. A man who embedded himself in popular culture, galvanizing support to run for high office, for which he began preliminary spade work 30 years ago, to ultimately become a president who pushed American democracy to the brink. The through lines of Trump's life and presidency are the enduring questions. What is in it for him, and what does he need to say to survive short increments of time in the pursuit of his own interests? Okay, one more section I think is relevant here. Confidence Man is also inevitably about the world that produced such a singular character, that gave rise to his career and became his first stage. It is also about a series of relentlessly transactional relationships. The ones that shaped him most were with girlfriends and wives, with Roy Cohn, with George Steinbrenner, with Mike Tyson and Don King and Roger Stone, with city and state politicians like Robert Morgenthau and Rudy Giuliani, with business partners, with prosecutors, with the media, and with the employees who toiled inside what they commonly called, among themselves, the Trump disorganization. So it just sounds very fascinating. I like the way she writes. I like the way she reports. Again, a very serious person. Someone else I noticed on Instagram had read the other book, big book that's out right now about him, about Trump. I think it's called Divider in Chief. And I mentioned to him in my comment to his picture, I said, well, that, he said he thought it was good. It's balanced, because I really try to stray away from this. Of course, it might be a little bit more partisan, but I think it might get behind some more facts about Trump than some of the other books I've seen, which take it's either yay, rah, rah, pro, or he's the devil left, way left. So we'll see. I kind of trust Maggie Haberman the most to give me a most balanced picture. But anyway, I told him in the Instagram comment I left him, I said, I just picked up Confidence Men. And he says, I want to read that one too. He said, I've heard that one's extremely, they're both, of all the books that are out there, Divider in Chief and then Confidence Men are the most balanced. So I picked it up, big book, big read. Not always an enjoyable topic, but I think it's important to know about it. Okay, so the other book, one moment. There. No, I'm not. Darn it, it's downstairs. I will, the last book I bought for my 3 for 2, I will wait until the end of this video. Okay, so we'll move on from Amazon purchases to, well, as we're approaching the Thanksgiving week, everyone started having pre-sales, right? Pre-Black Friday sales and stuff. So Princeton University Press, well, no, actually, let me back that up. Princeton University Press, and I think John David has mentioned this on his BookTube channel, just called John David. They every now and then do a flash sale on their site. He says it's weekly, but I don't know if it's weekly because I don't know if I get the email alerts for them, but they'll have a flash sale on like 4 or 5 select books that they select. And if you go there and you like them, they could be up to like 75% off, I think. So I heard about it and I went there, and sure enough, there were 2 books there that were extremely marked down, and I jumped on it. So the first one I picked up from Princeton is Ruling Russia, Authoritarianism from the Revolution to Putin by William Zimmerman. As you know, I love reading about Russia. Anything that takes you back to the pre-revolution, through the revolution, and after, I eat it up. So this book says, when the Soviet Union collapsed, many hoped that Russia's centuries-long history of autocratic rule might finally end. Yet today's Russia appears to be retreating from democracy, not progressing toward it. Ruling Russia is the only book of its kind to trace the history of modern Russian politics from the Bolshevik Revolution to the presidency of Vladimir Putin. It examines the complex evolution of communist and post-Soviet leadership in light of the latest research in political science, explaining why the democratization of Russia has all but failed. William Zimmerman argues that in the 1930s, the USSR was totalitarian but gradually evolved into a normal authoritarian system, while the post-Soviet Russian Federation evolved from a competitive authoritarian to a normal authoritarian system in the first decade of the 21st century. Okay, you following me here? He traces how the selectorate, those empowered to choose the decision makers, I like that word, selectorate, has changed across different regimes since the end of Tsarist rule. The selectorate was limited in the period after the revolution and contracted further during Joseph Stalin's dictatorship, only to expand somewhat after his death. Zimmerman also assesses Russia's political prospects in future elections. He predicts that while a return to totalitarianism in the coming decade is unlikely, so too is democracy. So that's cheery. All right. Yeah, he's written several books on Russian, like foreign policy and stuff like that. This one looks pretty heady. There's lots of graphs, charts. Kind of gets down into goes into the new economic policy, NEP, and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to add this to my my collection of Russian studies, and not sure when I'll get to it, but 75% off. I wanted to grab it. The next book, I've never heard of this guy, but I've said before on this channel, I love reading about essays, memoirs, essays, intellectual essays, and maybe I should really know this guy, but it looks interesting, and for 75% off, I picked it up. The author's name is Stanley Fish. So I don't know how many of you right away are like, oh, I know who that is, or if many of you are like, who? But I picked up, it's got a funky cover. It's almost like 3D. Think Again. Contrarian Reflections on Life, Culture, Politics, Religion, Law, and Education. And I love that. I love contrarian reflections. So by Stanley Fish. Here's a picture of the author. All right, there's our guy. Says here, from 1995 to 2013, Stanley Fish's provocative New York Times columns consistently generated passionate discussion and debate. In Think Again, he has assembled almost 100 of his best columns into a thematically arranged collection with a substantial new introduction that explains his intention in writing these pieces and offers an analysis of why they provoked so much reaction. That's cool. I like that. Some readers reported being frustrated when they couldn't figure out where Fish, one of America's most influential thinkers, stood on the controversies he addressed in the essays, from atheism and affirmative action to plagiarism and postmodernism. But as Fish says, that is the point. Opinions are cheap. You can get them anywhere. Instead of offering just another set of them, Fish analyzes and dissects the arguments put forth by different sides in debates over free speech, identity politics, the gun lobby, and other hot-button topics in order to explain how their arguments work or don't work. In short, these are essays that teach you not what to think, but how to think more clearly. And isn't that of the value of this book alone right there? Brief and accessible yet challenging, these essays provide all the hard-edged intellectual, cultural, and political analysis one expects from Fish. At the same time, the collection includes a number of revealing and even poignant autobiographical essays in which, as Fish says, readers will learn about my anxieties, my aspirations, my eccentricities, my foibles, my father, and my obsessions, Frank Sinatra, Ted Williams, basketball, and Jews. What? Reflecting the wide-ranging interests of one of today's leading critics, this is Fish's broadest and most engaging book to date. So, again, for the flash sale purpose, I was like, these are the two I'll pick up. These work. All right. Moving on. Yeah. So, I think I just picked this up. I might have just picked this up on Amazon. It might have been marked down. Anyway, I have this guy's book, Coming Apart, which I haven't read yet. I know there's a lot of controversy about his book from the 70s or 80s called The Bell Curve, but he was a co-author of that. But this is a slim volume that also I remember reading some book reviews of it when it came out. This came out a couple of years ago, I think. Yeah, well, 2021, and people were just lambasting it. And I just want to see what it has to say. I don't want to review. I don't want to be told what to think by a book review. I mean, if I may very well agree. But they say he gets his facts wrong. But I don't know. But again, I like people who kind of push the envelope with their arguments, make people uncomfortable. And then I like to step in and make my own decision. I don't want to be told what to think. Anyway, this is Facing Reality, Two Truths About Race in America by Charles Murray. Small little volume, like I said. So, here we go. You guys ready? We're going to, any trigger warnings here? Let's see. The charges of systemic racism and white privilege that are tearing the country apart float free of reality. This is what he says. Two known truths, long since documented beyond reasonable doubt, need to be acknowledged and incorporated into the ways we approach public policy. American whites, blacks, Latinos, and Asians have different rates of violent crime and different means and distributions of cognitive ability. This harkens back to the bell curve, I think. These two truths drive the problems in policing, education, and the workplace that are now ascribed to systemic racism. Facing Reality lays out the evidence clinically and in detail without apologies or animus. What good can come of bringing such uncomfortable realities into the open? Charles Murray argues that ignoring them is destroying America's most precious ideal, once known as the American Creed. People are to be judged on an equal basis as individuals, not by national origin, social class, race, or religion. The ideology behind the charges of systemic racism repudiates this ideal, demanding instead that the power of the state must, and that is italicized here, must be used to favor some groups of people over others to advance social justice. Americans on the center left and center right, who are the American Creed's natural allies, have denied themselves the ability to defend it. What else but racism can be to blame for race differences and outcomes? They have been afraid to answer. They must. Facing Reality is a step in that direction. Okay, so there you have it. It's got endnotes, and it's 125 pages, so just a little treatise, I guess. But I wanted to check it out. Okay. One of these books, you guys will probably laugh at me, but whatever. It seemed interesting. I don't know, and it was really marked down. So also in the pre-run up to the holidays and stuff, the University of Pennsylvania Press. I'm on a lot of these guys' email lists, so I get notifications from all like major university presses about sales or flash sales or things like this. So University of Pennsylvania Press had a sale going on, and they sent me a code. And I thought I'd just browse some of their history titles. And this one looked great. And wow, what a nice counterpoint to the last book I showed you. But this is a book that I had never heard of by W.E.B. Du Bois. He wrote The Souls of Black Folk, or the Souls of Black Folks. I'm trying to remember which one is the plural. The Soul of Black Folks. I think it's The Souls of Black Folks. Doesn't say in the back, but anyway. But he also wrote a major study before then. And it's a work of like sociology. I thought I'd check it out. So without further ado, I picked up The Philadelphia Negro, a social study. So with a new introduction by Elijah Anderson. So that's the Auguste W.E.B. Du Bois right there. Pennsylvania Press. All right. So let's get into it. What do we got here? In 1897, a young sociologist who was already marked as a scholar of the highest promise submitted to the American Association of Political and Social Sciences. I need a drink. A plan for the study of the Negro problem. The product of that plan was the first great empirical book on the Negro in American society. William Edward Burghardt Du Bois, a PhD from Harvard, was given a temporary post as assistant in sociology at the University of Pennsylvania in order to conduct in-depth studies on the Negro community in Philadelphia. The provost of the university was interested and sympathetic, but Du Bois knew early on that white interest and sympathy were far from enough. He knew that scholarship was itself a great weapon in the Negro struggle for a decent life. The Philadelphia Negro was originally published by the University of Pennsylvania Press in 1899. One of the first works to combine the use of urban ethnography, social history, and descriptive statistics. It has become a classic work in the social science literature. Both the issues the book raises and the evolution of Du Bois's own thinking about the problems of black integration into American society sound strikingly contemporary. Among the intriguing aspects of The Philadelphia Negro are what it says about the author, about race in urban America, and about social science at the time. But even more important is the fact that many of Du Bois's observations can be made, in fact are being made by investigators today. The Philadelphia Negro is the first and perhaps still the finest example of engaged sociological scholarship. That kind of work that, in contemplating social reality, helps to change it. In the introduction to this edition, Elijah Anderson traces Du Bois's life before his move to Philadelphia. He then examines how the neighborhood studied by Du Bois has changed over the years, and he compares the status of blacks today with their status when the book was initially published. So doesn't that sound fascinating? He talks about the city, the rise of the freedmen, the Seventh Ward, influx of the freedmen, health, income, occupations, color prejudice, the causes of crime and poverty. So fascinating, just fascinating. And it was I had a code. So it got marked down, and I was like really, really happy to get this. All right, so the other book I got from University of Pennsylvania Press. I don't know why. We'll see. It's interesting. I guess in a sense, it's another book of sociology, right? You're going to laugh at me. John David's going to laugh. This is Her Neighbor's Wife. A History of Lesbian Desire Within Marriage. I don't know. And the cover just cracks me up. It's by Lauren J. Gutterman. All right, Gutterman. Yeah, Gutterman. Her Neighbor's Wife. It won a few awards. Through interviews, diaries, memoirs, and letters, Her Neighbor's Wife traces the stories of hundreds of women who struggled to balance marriage and same-sex desire in the post-war United States. And doing so, Lauren J. Gutterman draws our attention away from the post-war landscape of urban gay bars and into the homes of married women who tended to engage in affairs with wives and mothers they met in the context of their daily lives, through work, at church, or in their neighborhoods. So it just sounded like a wonderful soap opera of a book, and I don't know. I thought, why not? It was super cheap. But yeah, so that was an impulse buy at the University of Pennsylvania Press. Okay, so the last of my recent nonfiction pickups, and by the way, I've gotten more books since then. I will be buying more bookcases, by the way. If any of you have been thinking and wondering, I've gotten Martine to sign on to the fact that I need some more of these beautiful white bookcases that I have down in the parlor. For the master bedroom, because the bookcases that I have in there are not. Well, first of all, they're the wrong color. I would like the master bedroom to kind of have like a nice white brightness. We get a lot of sun in that room. It's beautiful. And right now they're dark and they don't hold a lot of books, and it's just not efficient. So I think I'm going to go back to the Billy bookcases because they're very tall, very sturdy. They look good, and they're affordable. So. Just so you know, I am getting some more bookcases. And then that's it. Those ones are it. All right. So this one was another buy. I'm trying to figure out. It might have been another 3 for 2 issue. I don't remember. Or I might have actually had a code. This is from Encounter Books, and I think they sent me like a discount code. This is how these people get me, man. I say I'm not going to buy any more for a little while, and then they send me 30% off code. Anyway, Encounter Books. Now, so I'll show you what it is. This is The Critical Temper, Interventions from the New Criterion at 40, edited by Roger Kimball. The New Criterion is a journal. It's an intellectual journal, and I have subscribed to it for several years. Love their articles. They have a Gary Saul Morrison, I think. He writes tons of intellectual essays on Dostoevsky and Russian. There's just a plethora of just meaty, writings on history, art, music, culture. I really enjoy the New Criterion. So going back to my love of collections of essays or articles, this is what this is. And the New Criterion recently was celebrating its 40th anniversary. So let me just read this to you real quick. On the occasion of its 40th anniversary, the New Criterion has brought together a winning collection of essays demonstrating the range and acuity that has established the magazine as America's foremost review of culture and the arts. There you go. With contributions by Bruce Bauer. Oh, yes, Bruce Bauer. He wrote, I read several of his books around the turn of the century, from 2000, he wrote a lot of books about. He moved to the Netherlands, but he wrote about Islam, the rise of like Islamic militarism, not like fanaticism or whatever they call that now, whatever the appropriate word is for that. But yeah, Bruce Bauer, I know him. Anthony Daniels, Dennis Donahue, that sounds familiar. I think I've read some of his articles. Oh yeah, Joseph Epstein, I enjoy his articles a lot. He's syndicated in a lot of different magazines and journals. Then we have John Steele Gordon, Victor Davis Hanson, Charles Hill, Donald Kagan, Roger Kimball, Heather McDonald, I know her. I know Myron Magnet, Andrew C. McCarthy. Oh, David Price Jones. He wrote The Closed Circle, which was a brilliant study of culture and society in Arab societies. David Price Jones, Andrew Roberts, Alexander McCall Smith, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, Keith Windschuttle, and many others. This collection of more than 50 essays brings you the best of the best. Incisive cultural criticism, scintillating historical analysis, and robust commentary about the way we live now. Edited by Roger Kimball, the spiritual Baedeker is a timely repository of timeless writing about the figures, controversies, and challenges that define our life in the first decades of the 21st century. So this is by Encounter Books, like I said. Got some great articles here grouped under the headings of like The Fate of Freedom, Reputations Reconsidered, Polemical Interlude, Notes and Comments, Appreciations, Discriminations, and yeah. I love collections like this. I love it. I'm super soaked. Super soaker. Super stoked. Oh boy, it's been a long day. But The Critical Temper, so happy to have this on my bookshelf along with some of my other collections. But yeah, New Criterion, check it out. All right, now we're running down some recent like literature pickups I've done here. Let's start with I've been wanting this for a while, and it's always been on back order from Naval Institute Press. I wanted a really good copy because I've seen the movie, but I want to read the damn book already. I just want to read the work of fiction. Is Tom Clancy's The Hunt for Red October. And Naval Institute Press has their 20th anniversary edition in this beautiful hardcover, eh? Look at this. Go to Naval Institute Press. Check this out. It's not cheap, but I wanted a hardcover. I don't like those mass market paperbacks. You all know that. So I got The Hunt for Red October. I don't need to read the premise to you. Everyone's heard of this book or this movie. Naval Institute Press. I hooked it up. Finally. Oh, now I haven't started this project yet. Maybe I think maybe 2023 should be my year. Life's been kind of the last couple of years, obviously, with a lot of different things going on. I wasn't able to set myself to a new literature project, to a new endeavor, which includes reading multiple books. But I've always wanted to read this French writer. Okay. This is Émile Zola. And this is this is the first book in his massive, the Rougon-Macquart family series of books. So I picked up in the Oxford World's Classics version, which I love them. I prefer them to Penguin Classics, if you can believe it. Everyone loves Penguin. And I like Penguin Classics, but I really like the look and feel of Oxford World's Classics. This is The Fortune of the Rougons, a new translation by Brian Nelson. So it's the first in the series of books. And I think there's like 20 odd books in this. And Oxford World's Classics does have all of them. And in addition to an introduction and, nifty explanatory notes at the back, it's just, I love these versions. Anyway, I just been wanting to broaden my horizons, not only which is like American literature, but with world literature, and in particular French, which I haven't. I've read some Maupassant stories. I I haven't delved into Balzac yet, but I want to. But, it's like Emile Zola. I feel like I should know his work. And I love when you like involve like a whole family dynasty and you kind of, peel off from there and go off in all these different directions with it. But anyway, set in the fictitious Provencal town. Is it Provencal? Is it Provencal? I don't know. It has that weird. What is that? That C right there, that little inflection on the C. I'm going to say Provencal, because I don't know. Town of Plaisance. The Fortune of the Rougons tells the story of Silver and Miette, two idealistic young supporters of the Republican resistance to Louis Napoleon Bonaparte's coup d'etat in December 1851. Also, there's a lot of history in here. That's the other thing that drew me to this series. They joined the woodcutters and peasants of the Var to seize control of Plaisance, opposed by the Bonapartist loyalists led by Silver's uncle Pierre Rougon. Meanwhile, the foundations of the Rougon family and its illegitimate Macquart branch are being laid in the brutal beginnings of the imperial regime. So, the fortune of the Rougons, is the first in Zola's famous Rougon-Macquart series of novels. In it, we learn how the two branches of the family came about and the origins of the hereditary weaknesses passed down the generations. Murder, treachery, and greed are the keynotes, and just as the empire was established through violence, the fortune of the Rougons is paid for in blood. So that just sounds really good. I picked this up a little while ago, and I kept meaning to show you guys that I picked it up, because I'm just trying to figure out when I want to start tackling this series. I need to start charting out some plans for 2023. But Emile Zola is at the top of my list. Also at the top of my list for reading in 2023. And I get a shout out here. I get to give a shout out to one of my favorite booktubers, Johnny Keene. He turned me on to this guy. Well, yeah, he did, because many, many moons ago, he showed a book by this writer. And I was like, that sounds good. I think I want to read that. And then I kind of forgot about it. Then he showed that he recently picked up this, like a new version of his combined autobiography, which was originally published in 3 volumes. I decided to buy the 3 separate volumes in paperback. But he has introduced me to Elias Canetti. And this is his 3 volumes of his autobiography. And I picked up these. 2 of these were new, and one of them was I picked up used on thrift books because I couldn't find the other one. But these are the Granta editions by Granta Publishing or Granta Books. Now, the first in his autobiography, 3-volume autobiography, is The Tongue Set Free. And this was a winner, or he was the winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. So anyway, The Tongue Set Free, the first part of Nobel Prize winning Elias Canetti's autobiography, tells the story of the events, personalities, and intellectual forces that fed the early creative development of this extraordinary cultural figure. From the intensity of Vienna to the idol. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so tired. To the idol of England, and idol is Idyll, Canetti's childhood experiences were shaped by the loss of his father and his troubled relationship with his mother. This is an exceptional portrait of a young boy growing up in exceptional times. So that's the first volume, right? The second volume, a bit thicker, is The Torch in My Ear. These are I really like these covers, and that's why I wanted to have the 3 volumes in paperback. In The Torch in My Ear, Elias Canetti gives us a second volume, a perceptive portrait of Vienna and Berlin in the 1920s. And I love reading about that time anyway. I was so fascinated with Germany in the 1920s before everything went to shit. Ooh. You know what I mean? But anyway, and of Canetti's admiration for his first great mentor, the Viennese writer Karl Kraus. Here are the voices of Bertolt Brecht, Isaac Babel, George Grosz, and many others in a volume that redefines autobiography. And I love autobiographies, so this was, and I love reading about writers, you know, and I love reading about how they became writers and, you know, fed their creative muse, you know what I'm saying? Like how they came to the major works in their lives and what formed those major works, you know. So anyway, so the final volume is called The Play of the Eyes. It's a very another distinctive cover. I really like it. Very kind of modern arty. Set in a fading Vienna between 1931 and 1937, the third part of Canetti's autobiography follows the inevitable and tragic climax of Hitler's rise to power. Sharp and deft, Canetti brilliantly sketches his friends and rivals during this period, the Jewish modernists Hermann Broch and Robert Musil, the man of qualities, the sculptor Fritz Wotruba, the composer Alban Berg, and the beautiful socialite Alma Mahler, bringing these legends to life as never before. So I picked up this set. I know Johnny there was like a new hardcover edition that combined all three. But I just kind of like the look and feel of these three. I picked these up because the book that I wanted to read by him, the novel, is called Auto da Fe. Now that one is still in my cart, and I wanted to get it on the last 3 for $2 on Amazon, but it's only $15. Sorry about that, guys. It's only $15, but I think I want to get it and read it in conjunction with his autobiography. I just think it'd be neat. But thanks, Johnny, for turning me on to that book and then also the autobiography. So that's why I love BookTube. I get tons of recommendations from all you guys just watching your videos. In fact, Johnny just posted a video today with a book that sounds right up my alley, a novel, a massive tetralogy. Yes, Johnny, I have ordered that book now. I had a $25 gift card from Barnes & Noble, and I went ahead and used it. And I'll be showing that book when I get it in the mail. But thank you, Johnny. It's a book about life in Barcelona and Spain and Spanish Civil War. It's a massive novel. And, you know, I've been talking about Spanish Civil War has been incorporated into one of my kind of like mini passions. I've been really wanting to learn more about it. So reading a literature about it, and I think it'd be fascinating. So thanks, Johnny. I think the book is called Anthology, and I can't pronounce the man's name either. So there you go. Okay, guys, we're at 42 minutes. I think I'm going to stop. We have a snowstorm coming tonight. Like I said, did I say that? I don't know. We need to go pick up our groceries, and then I need to go just not do anything. I put in a long day of work. I'm really tired. So let's hope I can feel better after I see the doc on Wednesday. But in the meantime, I appreciate your patience for the lull between videos. It's just been, ever since towards the end of October, I've kind of been going a little downhill. So we're going to try to pick her back up. But in the meantime, let me know what you think of these books. I'm happy to hear from all of you. Thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting. I really enjoy hearing from all of you. And yes, I'll be doing a video soon to announce, wrapping up the Marple a Month, The Body in the Library. Martina and I will wrap that one up this week sometime. And we'll post that. And I'll try to do an announcement before then, but if not, and you're still around at the 43-minute mark, the book for December is The Moving Finger by Agatha Christie. So that's the next Marple in our queue. So The Moving Finger. Remember that. All right, BookTube, until next time, and I promise I can't promise, but I am going to try to get another video up way sooner. So keep an eye out. Take care. Bye.